Hello everyone, Cori Westbrook here with Superbloom. We are going to be talking about some super badass music today because that's what these guys create. So, first of all, before we get started, how are you all doing today? It's freaking hot. How are you surviving?
Barely surviving, but doing very, very well. Thanks for having us. It's great to be here. It is
Very
incredibly hot.
Lots of water. That's how
Lots of-
I'm surviving personally.
Staying hydrated,
Some
always
fruit.
smart.
Some snacks. Feeling good.
The beers are cold.
Ice cold.
Always good answer, staying hydrated, whether it's beer or water. All right, but diving right on into your guys' music. So before the interview, I told you guys that you guys have what I call modern nostalgia, which is a term that we use a lot on Pulse of the Maggots for bands that very clearly have their roots in the past, but are bringing it into the future with modern production, modern composition, and you guys do that very, very well. What was your first introduction to the 90s grunge music that you were very, very clearly inspired by? So what was your first foray into that world?
I mean, it sounds cliche to say, but, you know, I learned to play guitar just playing all the songs off. Nevermind, you know, gigantic Stone Temple Pilot fan. Like, it's kind of what I grew up on and listened to a lot. But we always, like, when we write, it's like we're trying to write the music that we want to hear. And yeah, we grew up on a lot of that stuff, and I think we, like, you know, just try to make it our own a little bit. But yeah, that was my intro.
Yeah.
I would say, yeah, just listening to it. I don't know if there was a specific moment, but essentially the music that I also grew up listening to and playing drums to, or just like, you know, sharing bands with friends of like what we would be listening to at the time. So it was sort of a natural progression to end up playing that type of music, or maybe kind of a lucky coincidence. But like Tim said, I think we write the music that we would like to hear, and then naturally, because we're living now, it kind of has a slightly more modern spin maybe to it. But
Yeah, awesome.
I remember very specifically my introduction to the sound was an old child. I'm talking like 9 years old. A childhood friend of mine got me onto the Nirvana Greatest Hits album.
Excellent.
And I didn't know it was the Greatest Hits album, and I was like, God damn, every song is blasting. This is crazy. And that was it. I was like, okay, this is great. I'm into this. This is solid.
Same answer.
You are
What
an
a great
eloquent man.
coincidence. Perfect.
I mean, slow down, man. You're talking a little bit much there. No.
My first CD was Offspring Smash.
Excellent.
But like Tim said, I also like learned guitar like in my bedroom. I think, would you say Nevermind, I'm guessing? You say Nevermind?
Yeah.
Yeah, so same thing.
My first CD that I actually bought with my very own money was Offspring's Americana. So like Air 5, dude.
I got a hand-me-down.
Yeah. So you kind of answered this a little bit, but I'd love to go in a little bit more depth. What made you decide to take that sound and bring it into the 21st century? Because I mean, there's one thing about liking music and loving music and tinkering around in your bedroom, but what made you decide to take it to the next level and do what you're doing now?
I don't think, honestly, we're like trying to do that. Not to be like a douche, just like we're just playing what we like to play in here. And it just so happens to maybe be kind of 90s leaning or just like straight rock leaning. So we get that question a lot. It's like, I don't know, we don't like try to make it sound 90s, right?
Board meeting to make a industry plant grunge band.
But what made you want to do the band specifically as well? Because again, there's a big difference between like playing music and tinkering around, but you guys have kind of exploded. And what made you really want to push things forward that way?
I think the band kind of started because we all had experience of playing in bands when we were kind of younger, and then I think individually we all sort of moved to New York and did other things that were not necessarily music adjacent, and we then all got back to a point of like, okay, this is what's missing from my life personally, is like being in a band. And we sort of a little magically all came together. These guys knew each other. We all met in kind of different ways. And so I think then naturally gravitated to whatever music we're making right now, because coincidence basically kind of brought us together and we all liked the same sort of music. In terms of pushing it, I think we we just figured if you're going to do something, do it as hard as you fucking can and don't stop until someone tells you to. So I think we've gotten really lucky with some of the stuff, and so stoked that people dig the music, that Knotfest digs the music. It's, you know, I don't know if all the time it sinks in that we're like sitting here with you having this conversation at Aftershock. So I think we just do what we can. We practice and we make music and people like it, and that's sick.
Since you just mentioned it, you guys have been doing a pretty hefty festival circuit here in the States and everything. How has that been? And what have been your favorite moments on the festival circuit that you've been playing?
It's all been pretty great, but driving on the Daytona track
Nice.
at Rockville was pretty sick.
Excellent.
Yeah. We, at that festival, we set up on one of the smaller stages, and during sound check, we got notified we were playing on the main stage that Nine Inch Nails was going to be playing on.
Bitchin'.
Abruptly, yes, very bitchin'. And so getting to drive across the track to then go play on the main stage as a surprise was a huge luxury, for sure.
I would say also, yeah, Daytona was our first festival, and it happened to also be on the Speedway, which to us was hilariously bizarre because everyone else showed up in these big, tour buses or whatever, and we're in a Kia Sorento that we rented from the airport with like no crew. It's like us walking up to the stage carrying our own instruments, and people are like, "Oh, who are you guys with?" And we're like, "No, we are the band, thanks." And so we're driving on the NASCAR track in our Kia Sorento, just like, what is happening right now? So that was, I think, the best moment for me. And then every moment since then has been just as fun, but that sticks out.
That is fantastic. And what's been your favorite moment, though? You haven't said anything. You got to say something. I'm going to make you talk.
The mic.
Yeah.
You can take the mic.
Yeah, playing at Daytona, getting the last-minute stage switch was like a crazy way to get thrown into playing a festival like this. Also, walking around and seeing the Smashing Pumpkins play on one stage, and then Nine Inch Nails, and tonight having the opportunity to go see STP, like Slipknot, all of these bands that are like so important in our lives. It's like fucking mind-blowing. It's yeah, I don't think we'll ever really get over it.
No. Hold on to that wonder. It's, yeah. I mean, it's what keeps you authentic, and it'll keep pushing you forward. It'll serve you well.
Yeah, it just makes us want to practice more. Like Mateo said, we go so hard into it, and it's like we just get together and play and play and practice, and we just want to keep doing it, push it as hard as we can for as long as we can, and hopefully people are still into it when we keep doing it. I'm
sure people will be stoked on it. And ultimately, and I know this is kind of a weird question, and it's probably kind of a hard question, and that was really loud. And there's no wrong answer to this one, but what do you hope to have people take away from your music?
I hope they enjoy it, and I hope they don't think we're trying to be the 90s. And what else? Oh, you have a mic.
I do have a mic. I think it's just nice we get to connect with people about it. When we meet people and they're super into it and they like what we're making, it feels very natural, which is nice. This wasn't popping off as hard for the first couple of years, so getting to meet people who are super into the record, it's great. It's the best. Just connecting with people through art you make is a spectacular experience.
Yeah, we wrote the album over the pandemic. Like, we wrote a lot of songs together in person, but we wrote a bunch of songs like individually and would like share music with each other and try to write separately. And then when we got back together and played our first show, when stuff started to open back up again, we got to this venue, Bowery Electric, down in East Village, and it was like slammed with people. It was like kind of the first show back for a lot of people, and there was like people like hugging and like getting emotional, and it was just like this crazy vibe. And coming out of that show with like a sense of kind of like community and like just people from all walks of life coming to check out live music and come see us play and come see the other bands play. Like, if people come away with this, they come away from us, like any show, feeling like they were a part of it, I think would be the shit.
We also like released it to nobody at the time. Like, we weren't like, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think in the hundreds of followers on whatever you want to call that. And so it's been like like crazy for the last like year or whatever.
Crazy velocity, and I've been seeing that with a lot of bands that are bringing a new flavor, a new flair, which you guys definitely do. Yeah, you've got your roots in the 90s, but you're bringing a modern flair to everything. So the trajectory is just, I mean, it's a testament to how authentic your music is and how well crafted it is. You wouldn't have that otherwise.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And so, I don't want to take up all of your time today, and I'm sure you're probably thirsty as hell because it's hot as hell in this tent. But
I have to say the fan edition. Thank you to the
Big shout to the fan.
Yeah, big shout out to the fan.
big action,
fan.
big update.
We're big
to
fans
the
of the
experience.
fan.
Big fans of the fan.
I just have one last question for you, and it is a super important one, though. All right, it's career defining. What is your favorite dinosaur?
I would say a velociraptor for me.
Excellent
100%
choice.
Velociraptor.
Excellent choice.
Pterodactyl, because flying dinosaur.
flying is cool. Flying
Flying
is
is great.
I
Flying
get
is
a
fine.
lot
like
of the flying ones when I ask this question. I usually get T-Rex and Velociraptor, not a lot of the flying ones.
Also, hang on a second. Horseshoe crab? Horseshoe crab is sticking to its guns. It hasn't
Yeah,
evolved
it's hanging
for
around.
400 million years, and I respect the hustle and the commitment to its personality.
You know, I will accept that as an excellent
What's
answer
yours?
right there. My favorite dinosaur.
Yeah.
Okay, so it depends on the day. But I am a big fan of it's called the Utah Raptor, which is basically a gigantic version of the Velociraptor.
Wow.
I also am a huge fan of the Leopleurodon. I don't get a lot of people loving the aquatic dinosaurs.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yes.
Yeah.
And yours?
I feel like they were underrepresented in media. You know what I
You're
mean?
right,
we
you
got so
don't-
much Velociraptor and
You
T-Rex.
hear Megalodon. It's like
Yeah.
enough about the Megalodon.
Right.
They need better PR. The water and
they
air
do need
ones.
better
You know,
PR.
maybe that's another job for you.
That's any time zone.
I mean, no love for like vegetarian dinosaurs. What about like a brontosaurus, right? That's
Brontosaurus is tight. We can hang out with the Brontosaurus.
Like a
This interview's
practical
over.
neck, veggie.
That's true. I'm a vegetarian dinosaur in the flesh. It's true.
We represent all.
Represent all. We got the ones that fly. We got the meat eaters. We got the vegetarians and the aquatics over here. So
Beautiful.
all bases covered. All dinosaurs are loved over here. Well, guys, it was super great talking with you. Do you have anything else you want to shout out to the fans?
No, thank you to
Thank you, DWP.
everyone.
Thank you, Gary.
DWP, Gary.
Thank you, everyone who
whole
had us
crew.
here.
Thank you, Knotfest. Huge
Thank you,
fans.
Knotfest.
This is fantastic.
We're
Stay
working on-
hydrated, please.
We're working on new music, EP coming. Stay tuned.
And we will be playing it on Pulse of the Maggots because
Hell yeah.
send that shit to me.
Thank you so
Hell
much.
yeah.
We will.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and I hope you guys have a great rest of the festival. Please stay hydrated. Don't collapse. I want more music.
Appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.